I'm Drew Fellman. I'm the co-director, writer, and producer of Pandas. I've made a series of films for IMAX now, and if you looked at the posters, you would feel like they were all wildlife movies. But I'm actually not interested in wildlife movies. What I'm interested in are, the people who have taken on this responsibility of trying to save, these highly endangered keystone species that are so vulnerable right now.
And I'm Jake Owens, and I'm a wildlife expert working with pandas in China. As a biologist, I spend most of my time out in the woods or in an office working on papers and data. And it's really difficult to let people know what we're doing. So you publish papers, and that's great because that builds the science, but these kids in elementary school aren't going to see that. And so it's really difficult for us to reach your average person, especially younger people. But if conservation is going to work, we need younger people to go into it, and we need the general public to support it. If there's no general public support, conservation won't work at all. It doesn't matter what we do. And so when this opportunity came up, this is a way for us to tell the public what we're doing, why we're doing it, and do it in this amazing package with Pandas and IMAX.
Yeah, when we're making an IMAX film, I think one of the most important things we try to do is, bring the experience to the audience that is as close as possible to the experience that someone like Jake is going through. And so the story between the relationship between people and these species is the thing that really fascinates me, because Jake is really a stand-in for all of us, for humanity's relationship with these animals whose people are responsible for their vulnerability right now and for their level of endangerment. And so I think it's of course incumbent upon us to try to reverse that. And the different ways that people are doing that around the world is completely fascinating to me.
When people think about pandas, they think about pandas in a zoo sitting there eating bamboo, cute and cuddly. They don't imagine them as these wild animals going out that can succeed in the wild. That's one aspect of it that I think was really important for them to show, and I think they did show really well in the film, is that they are wild animals and they have that ability inside them. You just have to give them the opportunity for that to come out. The other part is that it is super challenging. Reintroduction programs, you usually only hear about the ones that are successful. And when you do hear about the successful ones, you don't hear about the trials that they've gone through for 30 years or whatever time period it was before they achieved success. And even saying it's successful is a hard thing to draw a line at.
I mean, with the reintroduction, success is measured decades later. If a panda walks out into the wild, you could say that's a success, but that's not a success. The success is that panda's, surviving for 20 years and having several of her own cubs. And it's also having, more and more pandas coming behind her. It's the longevity of a project like this really determines its success. And so in this film, we're seeing the very beginning.
Ho Rong and her colleagues used new techniques that led to the birth of over 200 baby pandas.
But I think that also it's great to have the black bears in there and Ben's project, because it's been going on for 22 years and it's hugely successful, and Ben's learned so much about bears through the process, and so it provides an example to people of this is the example of what you can do, and here's a project that's just starting its way into that.
The biggest challenge from a filmmaking point of view is we're really making a film about one panda, and she's not a trained panda. She's a panda who has, her own mind and her own sense of how she wants to spend her time. And so we'd be very lucky to kind of be able to work with her for about 15, 20 minutes a day.
Wild pandas must survive cold winters. So we brought in snow to see how they respond.
The thing that is really interesting to me that I want people to understand is that conservation is not an abstract idea. Conservation is really hard work, and it's something that humans do. It's something that you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and start working on. And it's one animal at a time. That's something that people don't really necessarily realize. And so you watch what Jake's doing with Chen Chen in the film, and what Ben's doing with his bears, and you kind of get a sense that it's a job, and it's not we aren't going to save the pandas. Individuals doing hard work are going to do that, and we have to give them the support to make that happen.